I hope everybody is doing great today. This is Ask Nana Danso. And on Ask Nana Danso, you ask questions that you are being bothered with in relation to the Christian faith, even in the matters of life. So if there is a question that is bothering you, you can kindly leave it in the comment section, or you can, leave it in the comment section, or you can directly call, or wherever your question can be tailored through, you do that, and we are going to help you with that question. So someone sent me this question, inboxed me this question. He says, Pastor, I have a question. He says, according to Luke 19:27, says, but as for these enemies of mine who did not want me to reign over them, bring them here and slaughter them before me. So this person had heard someone talk about this, and the person said that Jesus was saying that people should be brought to him so that they will be slaughtered. He said that Jesus is a violent man. He says the Jesus that we worship is a very violent man. In fact, if he was a peaceful man, why would he allow people to be slaughtered? So that was the argument of that person. So this person heard this, and it has been a bother for him. So this was his question. He says, so Pastor, is Jesus teaching that we are to kill and murder those who oppose us? According to the person he listened to, that was what the person was trying to teach, that Jesus is teaching that we are to kill and murder those who oppose us. So according to Luke 19:27, that is what the person believes that Jesus is teaching. Is that true? Well, we will get to know whether it's true or not today. Yes. You see, context is everything. When you are studying scripture, you need to pay careful attention to context. You don't just read it. You don't just take things out of its context. You have to stay within the context and understand that anybody who speaks within the context. Do you understand? Even jokes are made within a particular context. So whatever we do as human beings, our language is such that it has to be confined to the context by which the person is speaking. So students of language understand that very well, that you cannot throw away context when someone is talking or when there is a conversation. Yeah. You see, let me come back to this question. Is Jesus teaching that we are to kill and murder those who oppose us? Jesus is not teaching that. That's not what Jesus is teaching. You see, Eastern kings, okay, so let's do a background study. Eastern kings coming to power, often disposed of their enemies in this manner. Herod, especially Herod the Great, had taken some ruthless measures to quell opposition and bring peace. And his son, Archelaus, likewise brutally retaliated, against those who had opposed him. Now, when you study Jewish background, that is one of the things that the Maccabees write about, especially when the Zealots wanted to revolt. But you see, the analogy of this parable was clear to Jesus' hearers. And so Jesus was speaking to a group of people, Jewish people, who understood what Jesus was saying. They did not understand that Jesus was trying to teach them to kill people who opposed them. Jesus was going away, to receive a kingship. Now, when he returned, he would establish his kingdom. Until that time, his followers were to fulfill the responsibilities he gave them. Now, on his return, he would reward the faithful commensurate, those who remained faithful with their service to him and his enemies would be judged before him. See, Jesus was not talking about an immediate thing, but he was talking about the fact that such a thing shouldn't happen, because he, Jesus, when he goes back to the Father and he returns, now that is the time for judgment. It is a time where those who had lived in hopeful service to the Lord will be repaid and be given honor, and those who had refused to serve him, those who had refused to labor for God, will be thrown into what? Utter darkness. And in fact, you see, such a change actually happened when a delegation of Jews went to Rome to appear before Caesar Augustus, opposing the appointment of a son of Herod the Great as their king. You see, Jesus was referring to such a thing at that particular moment. Jesus had this incident in mind. In the present parable, their protest had no effect. You see, their protest had no effect. In fact, they end up being killed by the new king for opposing him. You see, Jesus had this analogy in mind. Jesus had this situation in mind, and he was using it as a teaching experience for his people, because that was what was happening at that time. Anytime a king came to power, everybody who opposed him must be shut down. You see, it is like our politics today. Any party that comes to power must remove every DCE, every CEO, anybody who was not brought by the current ruling party must be taken over, must be taken off. But Jesus was not saying that we should kill those who oppose us. He was not teaching that we should murder those who oppose us. Jesus was speaking a parable, and parables teaches lessons, and parables use things that are common, things that are familiar, things people can relate to teach a lesson. So what he was saying is that just as what has been happening around that, when the Son of Man rises and ascends to the Father, and he returns in his glory and great power, anyone who had not served him, anyone who had not lived in obedience to him, that person would be judged. And when you are judged, you are not going to be slaughtered, but you will be handed over to where you really wanted to live. That is why I always say that God does not send people to hell. We send ourselves to hell based on the decisions that we took, based on our choices, based on what we did. Jesus always wants people to be with him. So Jesus was not teaching in Luke 19:27 that those who are not with us, we are to kill them, we are to murder them. In fact, it will be against the teaching code of Jesus. You remember a period when Jesus and his disciples were walking through Samaria. Those people opposed him such that they wanted to kill, they wanted to harm them. And John said that, Father, should we call for fire from heaven and consume these people? What did Jesus say? He says, no. Why do you do that? So when you read the Lord's Prayer says that, forgive us our debt as we forgive each other. If we are to murder and be killing people, Jesus will be contradicting himself. But Jesus does not contradict himself. Context is everything. So Jesus is teaching a particular point, a time, where the Son of Man will return in his glory. And a particular moment where there will be judgment. And where those who had served him faithfully will be called unto himself. And those who rejected him will be led to their own choice. So that is the meaning of this test. And in fact, when you take it out of context, that is what it will mean. But when you stick into context, you will know that Jesus was not teaching that we should kill people. I hope this answer helps. I hope it helps. I don't claim to have all the answers, But I pray and I believe that this helps. So let us be faithful stewards of the Lord. That when he returns, he would find no faults with us, even in this imperfect body of ours. May the Lord bless you and keep you. So we'll meet again